I want to give you an update from a number of things that we announced earlier today around noontime. I'm going to give you this update for information that we know as of the moment, with some anticipated additional updates, which I'll talk about later on this evening. As I mentioned earlier, I've been in touch with Governor Tom Wolf, and we're deeply appreciative of the governor's issuing the disaster emergency declaration about 12 noon. Governor Wolf expressed great concern for Philadelphia and the Philadelphia region. We've had constant communication and regular coordination out of the EOC and Sam Phillips and her team with PEMA, the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency. We're very grateful for their assistance as well. This is where we are at the moment. Based on the information that we've received and in regular communication with the National Weather Service, they are still predicting a 10 to 14 inch snowfall with very heavy snow expected to begin about 10 p.m. this evening. The heaviest activity between 1 a.m. and 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Obviously, and as I had mentioned earlier today, and we've been anticipating this most of the day, some of the things that we talked about at noon certainly did not happen. For all of our news stations here and whatever your weather people are saying, you're getting much of the same information that we're getting. But at the same time, we have to do our best to respond to our number one issue, which is always public safety. No matter how the forecasts keep changing throughout the course of the day, there is a consistency by the National Weather Service in the overall prediction of snow. And whether it starts snowing exactly when they say it might from earlier today or later on this evening, if you look at some of the material coming out of the National Weather Service, and I think it's up on at least one of the sites, maybe up on the board behind me.
It's right here.
Far right. So if you look at that map, that is from the National Weather Service, that is the latest map out. Look at maybe that's a royal blue band, 10 to 14 inches. The city of Philadelphia is in the dead center of that band, and that is consistent from the National Weather Service. And that was the prediction earlier today. It is still the prediction. They are standing by that. And so we are basing our plans and our activities based on that map from the National Weather Service, which has the city of Philadelphia dead in the center of a 12 to 14 inch storm with even more activity, whatever that color may be, mauve, pink, or something like that, with 14 to 18 right next to it. Temperatures are expected to still hover around freezing through the course of the night, drop into the teens overnight. Tuesday morning temperatures are still anticipated to be in the low 20s with a wind chill factor of about 10 degrees. Blowing and drifting, we talked earlier about wind gusts of 30 to 35 miles an hour possible, and combined with low temperatures during and after the storm, again, still will be challenging conditions for our cleanup efforts for our city workers and contractors working with us. With the constantly changing forecast, again, we gave you an update at 12 o'clock, gave you the best information we have. We're here now at 6:30 plus with the latest information. We are not in a position at the moment to make any decisions with our partners or decisions that we have to make involving the city of Philadelphia and its operations tomorrow, as well as the school district and our diocesan schools who are in their own conversations, and then we'll be in contact with them later on this evening. As I mentioned, we're anticipating a further update about tonight and tomorrow, somewhere between 10 and 11 this evening, and we hope at that time to be able to speak further with definition regarding the city of Philadelphia and its operations, as well as any information we get from the school district or the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. As I said earlier, this office here transitioned, the Emergency Operations Center, transitioned from limited activity to full operation as of 6 p.m. and also that a snow emergency was in fact declared at 6 p.m. tonight. For citizens, this obviously means, again, moving your parked cars from snow emergency routes You can get information on those on the Streets Department website, and I'll talk about that later. If you have to move your car off a snow emergency route, again, please relocate it to an area that is as far away from a corner as possible. Again, because our salting and plowing operation, that heavy equipment needs to be able to make turns in some very tight neighborhood circumstances sometimes. Snow emergency routes can in fact be found at www.philadelphiastreets.com, and it will show you on a map where those snow emergency routes are. Cars that are left on a snow emergency route will be relocated to accommodate our plowing operations. We're very serious about these issues. It makes it that much more difficult for our snow fighting forces to do their jobs. Those cars and vehicles are in the way. If your car is relocated, you can call 215-686-SNOW in order to find your car. The offer from the parking authority, of course, is still in effect, $5 at the 6 garages that I mentioned, beginning at 6 p.m. today, running through the end of the snow emergency. A special 24-hour flat rate of $5 at select city garages. You can find those at www.philapark.org to get more information. Streets Department, you'll hear from Dave Ferry shortly. I mentioned earlier, it is still in effect. There will be, if your trash and recyclables collection day is Tuesday, there will be no trash pickup tomorrow. Trucks and vehicles are already in the process of being converted to plowing operations. Those vehicles are not available for trash or recycling pickup. Please hold on to your Tuesday trash until next Tuesday, and we greatly appreciate it to know that it will be inconvenient for some, but we're trying to balance the interests of trash collection and snow plowing and removal. All rear driveway collections are canceled as of tonight. If you have rear driveway collection, driveway, alley, whatever it is that it's called in your neighborhood, if your trash or recyclables are normally collected in the rear of your home, we will not be providing that service until the end of this event, and we will let folks know when to resume. When collections do resume, and before that time, please put your materials at the curb until further notice, regardless of when your trash or recycling day is. We did engage in a full employment to fight this storm. 375 pieces of equipment, 800 people actively engaged on the street during and after the storm. Again, with the current snowfall predictions, we expect to treat and plow all residential streets within 48 to 72 hours after the snow event ends. We will do everything we can to get to every street across the city of Philadelphia. We ask for your patience. Our workers are out on a regular basis. They are doing a very, very difficult job under tough circumstances. They will get to you. The streets will be made passable. They will not necessarily be perfect, but passable so the vehicle can get through. More than likely, in some instances, won't see blacktop. That doesn't mean that we haven't been there, and we do track where our folks have been, but we can't be on every street in every part of the city at the same time for all of the snowfall. You can help us out a great deal, and I'm appealing certainly to all Philadelphians. Help us out a great deal. Please do your best to try to stay inside, off the streets overnight, in order for our streets crews to do their job. Shoveling and the cold. As this weather event takes place, and certainly within 6 hours of its ending, it is a Philadelphia ordinance that homeowners are required to provide a path of 3 feet wide in front of their properties, including curb cuts if you're at a corner property. Regarding shoveling, as I said earlier, in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, we look out for all of our neighbors. Again, asking Philadelphians especially to pay attention to our senior citizens, our sick and shut-in and vulnerable neighbors. Knock on their door, ask if they need some help and assistance. You don't really need to do that with regard to shoveling and their steps and sidewalk. Go ahead and do that, but certainly check on them and see if they need your assistance for other things. Let's look after each other in our great city. If you need help clearing your sidewalk, you don't have a neighbor or a family member or someone else to help you, as a last resort, certainly you can call 311. We'll do our best to try to get some volunteer or other person out to provide assistance. I mentioned earlier, PowerCore PHL, great group of young people who work with us, and some of them will be able to do some of that work. I need to heavily emphasize, some people certainly maybe don't necessarily like to hear this, but it is very, very serious and important. After you shovel out your spot, after you shovel your sidewalk, after you shovel your steps, please don't throw snow back in the streets. Very dangerous condition, could in fact cause refreezing on the roadway, but also, quite honestly, it is tremendously disrespectful to the hardworking public employees, especially the streets department and other departments that will be out plowing that snow. It's also against the law. You can be fined and ticketed. We did that last year, and certainly we're going to do the same thing this year. Citizens should contact Project Home, our outreach hotline, 215-232-1984. You see a homeless person on the streets. I've already made one call to that number earlier today as I saw someone when I was driving around the city. Their operators are there and available. Please do not let any person be out during the course of this storm. Again, there is a new city ordinance in Philadelphia that requires dog and pet owners to bring their pets indoors in the event of extreme cold. Tonight will certainly qualify under this ordinance. Ignoring this can also result in a fine of up to $500. Look out for our pets and others. And so if you see a dog or pet outside, call ACT, ACCT Philly at 267-385-3800. Lastly, and you're going to hear from SEPTA in a few minutes, bus routes certainly during the course of the storm can be delayed, detoured, or suspended. Customers should check www.septa.org for the latest updates. SEPTA is going to be up at the table in a second. 311 office has been fully activated for 24-hour operations, and you should call 311 for non-emergencies and also to report a street in need of salting or plowing. Philadelphia International Airport, you've seen numerous reports in the course of the day. Hundreds of flights have been delayed or canceled as a result of activity either in the city or in other places where folks are trying to get to. Check your airline for specific flight information. With that, you'll hear from Dave Perry of the Streets, and there are a couple people here from SEPTA. Dave?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dave Perry, Streets Commissioner. Just a couple of updates from this morning's press conference. Number one, the Streets Department this afternoon were able to pre-treat and salt all the snow emergency routes, primary streets, secondary streets, and high elevation residential streets within the city of Philadelphia. That effort represents approximately 60% of the street network, or about 1,500 miles. We also were able to pre-treat bridge decks in Philadelphia. Those bridge decks typically ice up for other road surfaces, so they've been treated with salt. On the trash collection and recycling front, we picked up 100% of today's recycling materials. However, there were a few households in which we were unable to collect rubbish today. If you're one of those households, please leave your rubbish materials out at the curbside. We will collect them on Wednesday. So you do not have to bring the rubbish materials back into your house. We will resume rubbish collection on Wednesday and pick up anything that was missed today. There's only a small percentage of households that we are unable to get to. What we do in a storm of this magnitude is we take approximately 125 of our trash compactors, and at the end of the day, we fit them up with plows and turn them into snow plows for the city of Philadelphia. So we have a deadline for bringing those in, and we needed to bring them in to start the conversion process. We anticipate starting our plowing operation at midnight tonight, and we currently have planned 2 12-hour shifts for trash compactors and plow. The first shift starting at midnight, and the second shift starting at noon tomorrow. And with that concludes my comments and updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jeff Kneffel, Deputy General Manager for SEPTA. Based on forecasted severe weather conditions overnight and at the start of the service day on Tuesday, the following service adjustments have been made. For bus operations, 27 routes will implement preemptive detours as of 8 p.m. this evening. An additional 25 routes will go on detour or have part, not all, but part of a route suspended by midnight. Bus operations will be a dynamic situation, especially at the height of the storm, and riders are advised to check SEPTA's website, septa.org, and click on System Status for real-time updates. For the Broad Street Markets Frankfurt subway elevated lines, they will run continuously throughout the night at 20-minute intervals in lieu of our normal hour buses. SEPTA will store vehicles overnight in the tunnel, and these routes are the best bets in the morning. City trolleys. All city trolley service 10, 11, 13, 15, 34, and 36 are expected to run through the evening, but some delays should be expected in the morning. The Media Sharon Hill line and Norristown high-speed line. Pilot vehicles will run overnight, and service is expected on the Media Sharon Hill routes 101 and 102 in the morning. Historically, high winds and drifting deep snow have created service suspensions on the Norristown high-speed line, Route 100, where we have third rail power down by the ground. We will operate this service until conditions are unreliable or unsafe to continue. Check the website for updates on all three of these routes. The railroad has perhaps the biggest change. Given the severe weather conditions, regional rail lines will operate on a Saturday schedule tomorrow. Information is available on the SEPTA website and has been distributed to our riders in recent weeks in preparation for just such a severe storm occurrence. Be reminded that there is no Kinwood line service tomorrow and that additional service has been provided to reach Newark on the Wilmington-Newark line. For CCT service, we'll be providing service for dialysis patients, medical appointments, and essential personnel only. A couple of closing notes. I would like to thank SEPTA employees in advance for their hard work through this storm as we work to serve the region. Any decisions to further adjust services will be announced to the media as soon as information is available. We also announce this information on our website, septa.org, and on Twitter. And as always, SEPTA's primary concern is safety, and safety will govern all decisions we make for service throughout the storm. Thank you.
Good evening, Sam Phillips, Director of Emergency Management for the City of Philadelphia. Thanks very much for being here, and thanks to all of the agency liaisons that have staffed positions here at the EOC. We will be here through the night. We're incredibly frustrated by the forecast. It's really difficult to make the decisions we have to make with such variability in the forecast information, but we are going to go with the best information that we have, and we're going to keep a close watch. It is always better to be more prepared than the reverse, and so that's how the City of Philadelphia is going to lean forward through the overnight and make sure that we're ready to respond as needed.
One last thing, obviously this is, Philadelphia is not the only city affected by this on the East Coast. I've had conversations with Mayor Marty Walsh in Boston, Mayor Bill de Blasio in New York, Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake in Baltimore, and Mayor Muriel Bowser in Washington, D.C. As mayors, we all work together on these kinds of issues and events. These are my colleagues. This is a significant storm on the East Coast. Everyone is affected in a different way, but I think it's very, very important that as mayors of major cities on the East Coast, that we demonstrate that level of coordination of service and response. At any point in time, any one of us might face a more difficult situation than another, but it is because of these partnerships and relationships that so many of our departments and agencies across cities and across regions and up and down this East Coast that we maintain that kind of partnership and relationship. So I've talked to all of them. They seem to be geared up and ready to go as well. And so with that, I'll be glad to try to answer any questions that you might have based on the latest information available. Any questions?
Mayor,
Mike?
given the possibility of 10 to 14 inches, I'm a little unclear why there's any indecision regarding the schools and the city government.
Well,
It strikes me as a no-brainer call.
I understand. neither of us were prepared to make the decision at this moment because of what happened earlier today and the fact that the forecasts keep changing. We've seen forecasts that have been lower. We've seen forecasts that have been higher. We've seen some that have pretty much stayed consistent. We want to always be, as Sam Phillips said, we're prepared and geared up for what's been proposed or what we think is being presented. But we also want to make decisions in relative real time about things that will have a true impact on people's lives. I don't actually make the decision with regard to whether schools are open or not, notwithstanding the fact that some people think the mayor makes every decision about everything that takes place in Philadelphia. It's actually a superintendent of schools who makes that call for public schools, and there's a superintendent at the Archdiocese who makes that call. And then once they decide what they want to do, they also coordinate with us. We give them our best information, and then they make the decision. With regard to the city, pretty much the same thing. We've talked to many of our partners in city government, and that's why we're having the update later on tonight between 10 and 11. Sometimes the issue for us is, are we actually closing, or are we having a delayed or staggered delay for personnel to come in? We want to give our public employees certainly the best information we can with enough time for people to adjust their schedules.
Is that update later here in person?
Yes. Yes. It'll be here somewhere between 10 and 11. Information will go out, but that's what we expect. And it's our hope to be able to tell everyone, the two main things that we have not said tonight: city government and schools. Other questions? Thank you all very much. Thanks for coming.